Good afternoon. I'm Dave Tanner, CEO of the Sacramento Association of Realtors, and it is December 15th in the year of the COVID, and I just want to give you a couple reminders about a couple things coming up in 2 weeks at the end of the year. The first is that you have a requirement to complete sexual harassment prevention training for all of your employees by the 31st of this month. So if you have not already completed it in this 2-year cycle, which is 2019 and 2020, you've only got a couple days left to do it. Whether you have to do it or not is something that's a little convoluted, so let me try to explain it. First is, if you have 5 or more employees, you are required to conduct the training. So if you have 5 employees, no question at all, you have to conduct the training, and the training must be conducted for all of your employees. Now, if you have 1 employee, but you have 4 or more independent contractors, you also must conduct the training. You do not have to conduct the training for the independent contractors, but they count towards your employee count. So if you have 1 employee and 4 independent contractors, you have to conduct the training for the 1 employee. You do not have to have the independent contractors attend. However, it might be recommended that you do so, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Also, anybody that supervises is required to have a 2-hour training program. The employees have to get 1 hour, supervisors have to participate in a 2-hour program, and you have to get this done. Now, if you have only independent contractors and no employees, but you have 5 or more independent contractors, it's my understanding by reading it, or it would be my interpretation, that you still have to do the supervisor training for yourself because you're supervising 5 or more people which qualify into the count. So you only have to actually give the training to somebody that is a true employee, but independent contractors are included in the count to determine whether you have 5 or more people that make you subject to the mandatory requirement. The reason I say you might want to train your independent contractors is that independent contractors now have exposure, and of course if your independent contractors have exposure, so does the broker. But the law changed this last year. You used to, an independent contractor working for you used to have potential liability if they sexually harassed a client. And the law was clear that if you sexually harassed a client or a customer, then you had potential for violating the laws prohibiting sexual harassment. The law changed last year and said that a real estate licensee, for one example, is in a position of trust when they start talking with a client. So without them becoming, or when they start talking with a person, prior to the time they become a client or customer. So if you have somebody that comes into your office, they talk with the salesperson in the office, they have a potential claim against that individual if they sexually harass them, because they are, by law now in the state of California, in a position of trust regarding that individual. So it used to be you had to actually get them as a client or customer. Now they only have to have contacted you regarding your professional responsibilities. That puts you in a position of trust, and if they claim that you sexually harassed them, liability is there because you took advantage of your position of trust, the same as if they had been an employee of yours. So you might want to have your independent contractors take the training as well. If you have a couple people, you can go, there's an online program, onlineed.com. You can take the training online. It's $25 per person. $55 for a supervisor, because it's two different programs. The supervisor one is 2 hours. If you have more than that, it might be more feasible to hire an outside instructor to come in and conduct the training. But again, remember, if you have not done that training for 2019 or 2020, you have to have that done before December 31st. Also, if you did the training in 2019 and then you have hired a new employee since then, you have to train that new employee between now and then. If you have one, probably the best thing to do is use an online program like onlineed.com for $25. If you have several people that need to be trained, you're probably better off bringing in an outside instructor. The other thing that I wanted to mention that's coming up for a deadline, although the law passed in 2019 and part of it became effective 2020, January 1st, 2021, if you sell a house that's in a high or very high risk fire area, you are required to give a specific disclosure regarding hardening of the property against fire susceptibility. So that becomes effective January 1st, and it's mandatory. It's only for homes that are in the high or very high fire risk areas. So if you don't have one of those, you don't have to worry about it. The other thing is, I understand, although I have not heard directly, that companies that are providing NHDs that are determining the high or very high fire risk areas may also be looking at including this mandatory disclosure in their reports for those properties. So you might want to check with your NHD provider that you use about that. So remember that. Got to have your sexual harassment prevention training done before January 1st. Have to start providing that mandatory disclosure after February 1st. So that's the updates on what happens, significant actions on January 1st. Wishing you all a very happy holiday season. Stay safe. This hopefully is our last major holiday that we will be restricted by the COVID restrictions. But just stay safe and let's all get through this safely. And hopefully 2021, at least the last half of it, will be a better year. Thank you for your attention.